Today, the men and women of the United States Air Force, in keeping with one of the oldest traditions in the military, pay special tribute to Colonel Lisa M. Carroll on the occasion of her retirement after 20 years of distinguished service in the United States Air Force. The presiding officer for today's ceremony is Brigadier General Retired Sharon Schaefer. There are a number of special guests here today, but there are a few that we would like to recognize. Please hold your applause until all have been introduced. These guests include Colonel Carroll's fiance, Bart, sons Liam Downham and Kian Allister, daughter Bree Morgan, mother Betty Carroll, brother Brian Carroll, niece Catherine Carroll, and nephew Sean Carroll. Additionally, friends that have become family, Klaus Schaefer, Holly Urich, Michelle and Jeff Edwards, Denise and Patrick Carroll, and Brian Rushnock. Let's give a warm welcome to them and to all in attendance. In addition, we would like to welcome a number of distinguished visitors with us today. Again, please hold your applause until all distinguished visitors are introduced. United States Attorney for the Middle District of Georgia, the Honorable Peter Leary. Deputy Director for the Warner Robins Air Logistics Complex, Ms. Dana Stanley. The Installation and 78th Air Base Wing Commander, Colonel Diedrich Reese. Commander, 461st Air Control Wing, Colonel Adam Shelton. Deputy Commander, 78th Air Base Wing, Colonel Sergio Rios. Deputy Commander, 461st Air Control Wing, Colonel Sammy Bonney. Command Chief, 461st Air Control Wing, Chief Master Sergeant Michael Simon. We would also like to welcome all those friends, coworkers, commanders, chief master sergeants, directors, senior leaders, and other guests in attendance today. We appreciate your presence and camaraderie and thank all of you for being with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the playing of ruffles and flourishes, the presentation of colors, and the singing of our national anthem.
Honor Guard, host the colors.
Coats. 10 hut. Forward arms. Forward march. Coats. Halt. Reason. Arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Thank you, Robins Air Force Base Honor Guard and Ms. Therese Moore for the beautiful rendition of the national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to pass the mic to Brigadier General Retired Sharon Schaefer.
I'm as ready as I could ever be now.
Took me several weeks to write this book. Oh, goodness. Well, happy Friday afternoon, everybody. Come on. Friday, all right. We're here to celebrate the career and life of Colonel Lisa Richard. Carol now, I'm sorry, you know, habits die hard. Colonel Carol. I'm just gonna call her Lisa from now on so I don't screw up again. Lisa and I go way back. She was out at TACAP with me for about a few years, and so I'll be talking about that in a little bit, but it's an honor to be here. I've met Mom Betty before, and the kids. Liam is my paddleboard buddy from out in Hawaii. Got him up on a paddleboard. It was awesome, and I got to promote her to Lieutenant Colonel out there. My theme out there was kind of, how do you solve a problem about Lisa? Because, you know, the song, How Do You Solve a Problem Like Maria from The Sound of Music, remember that? Because she was such a firecracker and hard to tame. It was like taming the shrew from Shakespeare or something like that. It was, but man, she's just awesome. So it's I'm really privileged and thrilled to be here today to talk about her. She's got, you know, almost 21 years of service under her belt. And from what I understand, the last 2 years here working with Colonel Reese and Colonel Rios, trying to just turn this legal office around and make it a great place to be. Probably took its toll on her, but she's moving on to bigger and better things with her fiance Bart over in Belgium, which I'm thrilled about. So she's going to have a great time. But we're here to celebrate her career. It's bittersweet that she's leaving the Air Force, but she's not going to be forgotten by any means at all. And we're always going to remember the great things that she's done for the Air Force. But she's moving on to bigger and better things. She's had 8 assignments. She's a 4-time SJA, a 2-time deployer. She's a headquarters staff member. She's a serving leader, mentor, mother, savior and confidant, educator, published author. She's done it all. And I'll tell you, to sum up, the big thing that she is, she's fearless. She's a fearless advocate in everything that she does. In a couple of weeks from now, I'm going to be heading out to Appalachian Law School to talk to the law students out there about how do you practice law without fear. It's a good question, especially for young attorneys, because the natural tendency is to fake it till you make it. If someone asks you a tough question, just guess something, and hopefully it'll fly. But Lisa has that down to a science. I think she not only set the bar, she has raised the bar as to what that meaning is of being a fearless advocate. She might have been afraid when she was a youngster first starting out in New York and then in Florida as a public defender, but she never showed it. She channeled that fear if she did have fear, but I don't think she ever had fear, not like the rest of us. I think she came in guns a-blazing, fearless. But let's assume she did. She channeled it in everything that she did by speaking truth to power, living and speaking truth to power in everything that she does. She's not afraid to tell you if you're wrong, right? She's not afraid to give you the facts if they're ugly. And she believes, that's right. She'll research an issue, and she'll have her folks research an issue, but when it's time to make a decision, she'll say, okay, we're gonna make a decision. I wanna fit, her motto is fail fast, right? She's not gonna fake it till she makes it, like our natural tendency is, because we're afraid if the colonel comes up to us and asks us a question and we're not sure, so we're just gonna say something. That's not the right answer. Try to research it and get the right answer, but if you're wrong, that's her motto, fail fast. If I'm wrong, I'll go back, I'll restudy it, I'll get you the right answer, and we'll move along. And that's how we all learn in the process. And that's how she's lived out her entire career in the Air Force. She's a serving leader. And what I mean by that is, and I'm going to give you some examples, I'm not going to rattle off everything that she's done at all of her 8 assignments in the Air Force, But I am gonna give you examples of how she fits all of those traits as a mentor, as a savior, as a confidant, as a serving leader. She's not afraid to get in the trenches. She's not afraid to lead and mentor folks and give them that tough talk. But she's also not afraid to get into the trenches right with her paralegals, right with her young airmen, right with her youngest captain or lieutenant, and get in there and get it done. She's, as I told you in the beginning, I don't think she entered our service fearless as a youngster, because she, if you've taken a look at her career and her service and what she's done, we got her pretty experienced when she came on active duty back in 2003, I think it was. Before that, of course, she attended Northeastern University and got her bachelor's and her master's in criminal justice, and then went on to law school at New York Law School. But after that, I mean, it was eye-watering. I didn't even know she had all of that experience before she came on active duty. She worked as a clerk for Supreme Court there in New York, District Court. She served as a legal assistant. She even has paralegal experience, so she knows what it's like to be a paralegal. She knows what folks go through as paralegals working for attorneys. She did all of that. By the way, also, as I told you, she's an educator. She taught at online universities at different classes. She went on down to Florida, became a public defender down in Tampa for a while, taught online at different universities down there as well. So by the time we got her in 2003 and sent her to Ellsworth, South Dakota, a New Yorker going to South Dakota. Anyway, once we sent her to South Dakota, she already had a breadth of experience, and it showed. I'll tell you, when she was at Ellsworth for her first assignment, I just want to cover a couple of things for you. She was already the #1 JAG in the office, first off. She was by name requested for training, because I told you she's a wonderful educator. She makes it interactive, she talks to folks, she points to folks and makes them respond to questions. She makes it interactive, she makes it understandable. And that was quickly recognized at Ellsworth Air Force Base up there. And she was selected to do all of the training. And of course, no surprise to anybody, no, I don't like that, I don't like that, I don't like that. She changed it all of the training, made it all interactive, had First Sergeant's Commander's training, made it all interactive, and got rave reviews. So again, fearless, was not afraid to correct what she thought was not good. And of course, she was described as I mentioned before, fearlessly direct and hard-hitting. If you don't like her, if you don't want the truth, the hard truth, then don't ask her the question. And in fact, even if you don't ask, she may give it to you. So from Ellsworth Air Force Base, after rocking it out of the park, she moved on to Mildenhall overseas in England. And she doesn't know this, but I was over there as well. I was at USAFE as the Deputy Staff Chief Advocate. And again, she was the Chief of Adverse Actions, Criminal Law, and International Ops Law, Operations Law. Again, knocked it out of the park. Very impressive. Her wing commander, which is, you know this, Colonel Reese, this is no small feat trying to rank all of your company grade officers. She was ranked #4 out of 145. That's pretty darn impressive, what she did over there at Mildenhall. And no surprise, I remember seeing her package as it came across my desk at USAFE. In 2007, she was selected as the Outstanding Young Judge Advocate of the Year for Headquarters USAFE. And what that meant was, out of all the young JAGs that we had in the USAFE area of operations, she was ranked #1, and then her name was forwarded to compete at the headquarters level for what we called the Crufeld Award, which is the Outstanding Young Judge Advocate of the Year. So winning it for USAFE was a huge, huge deal. And no surprise, she knocked it out of the park at Mildenhall. Now, while she was at Mildenhall, she deployed for the first time, which is probably why our paths didn't cross in person when I was at Mildenhall for an Article 6 inspection, because by that time, she was in Baghdad serving on the Law and Order Task Force. I want to take a minute to talk to you about what she did there. The traits and values that I talked to you about in the beginning, with being a serving leader, mentor, and just a go-getter and fearless. She was a captain deployed in Baghdad for the Law and Order Task Force. She was selected as the only team chief, as a captain, never done before. She was a captain and selected as a team chief and oversaw over 1,600 Iraqi terrorist cases. And what she did over there was so important, she was advising all of the Iraqi judges on how to develop their cases and how to prosecute their cases. I will tell you, I know this for a fact, and she could probably tell you, Iraqi judges didn't last long. They were murdered right and left. So it was a very dangerous area, first of all, and then also out there advising these judges on how to handle trials and how to handle these terrorists was a huge deal, not to mention the fact that, as I said, they were taking their own lives in their own hands. And her commander out there, the boss in charge, said that she, without her, the rule of law would not have been advanced. So just a huge deal on what she did there while she was deployed out of Mildenhall to go to Baghdad. Well, the Air Force rewarded her for all of her, and it wasn't a reward, it was basically moving her up because we recognized raw talent when we see it. And so those of you who don't know, the Judge Advocate General makes all assignments in the JAG Corps for all of our attorneys. So it's up to him or her. We haven't had a female yet, but so I'll leave it at him. It's up to him to decide where we're gonna put young, talented JAGs. So after Mildenhall, Lisa was selected to move on to Kansas to go to McConnell Air Force Base. And this time she served as the Deputy Staff Judge Advocate in a clear leadership role. So what did she do there? She cleaned up their office, took away numerous discrepancies that they had in the office, and led their inspection, when they were inspected by TJAG in his office, to an excellent, and she was again singled out as leading that office, even served as the acting SJA for a period of several months, to an excellent, and no surprise. That's why we pick her for all of these very difficult assignments, and so no surprise there. From there, we recognize the fact that she is such a wonderful educator, such a wonderful communicator, that she got to move to the JAG school, where she was responsible for our outreach program. And it was, at that time, it was TJAG's vision, the Judge Advocate General's vision, that we as a JAG Corps have an online practice, an outreach program where folks can go online and take classes, particularly in ethics, because Lord knows we all need to be ethical, and so she established a great ethics program online and other outreach courses for our JAGs and even paralegals, working with the paralegals that could go online and work that. She served as the chief of civil law while she was there, and that means that she was the chief in charge of all of our civil law instruction. So for those of you who don't know, all of our new JAGs and paralegals go to the JAG school for training. For JAGs, I don't know if it's more now, but at the time when I went through, it was 8 weeks of training. We called it the Judge Advocate Staff Officer Course. I'm gonna tell this story about it. It's hysterical. I'm laughing just starting to tell it. What?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. But here it comes. I gotta digress and tell this story. So, for one particular class, Lisa was selected to be the course director for JSOF. Okay, so we had about 62 new, bright and shiny attorneys that were coming to the JAG school. So, let me just explain one thing. The JAG badge is very sacred to JAGs. He knows where I'm going to, don't even have to answer. The JAG badge is very sacred to us. Unlike, you probably all think, well, JAGs get professional pay like the doctors. We don't. We don't. Years ago, when we had the opportunity, the general that was in charge said, no, we want a JAG badge that distinguishes us as lawyers, and so we traded the money, extra money, for a JAG badge. So this is very sacred to us. And all of the new JAGs that come on active duty are very proud when they first get selected and they pass the bar, because you have to pass the bar before you come on active duty, and you have to get certified and all that good stuff. And the minute you get notified that you've been selected and you're going to school, you get to put that JAG badge on. Not so much. what happened was, I was at the Pentagon at the time as the Judge Advocate General's Director of Staff. And TJAG sent me and a couple of others on a mission to research the JAG badge and you know, when it is that someone is officially an attorney or a JAG. And we said, sir, once they swear in, you know, when they get their commissioning, they've taken their commissioning oath and everything, they're a JAG. So they should be entitled to put the JAG badge on. He said, no, I think they ought to earn it. I think we ought to wait till they graduate from JSOC, excuse me, when they come down to the JAG school, and after they graduate, we'll have a JAG badge pinning ceremony as they walk across the stage. Did you go through that?
I did.
I'll bet you did. You'll walk across the stage and we'll pin the JAG badge on them. Well, unfortunately, what happened, Lisa? The JAG school was already in progress.
Yeah, the JAG class is in progress already.
It was already in progress. All of those 62 students already had their JAG badges on. So TJAG directed me to call the commandant of the school and tell him, I don't care how you do it, de-JAG badge everybody. Take their JAG badges off. So we got it done, and TJAG decided that for the first JAG badge ceremony, he wanted to come down and see it and be a part of the festivities. It's a big deal. We dress up in our mess dresses, we have a ball, and then the next day is the ceremony. So we come down, and entourage travels down from the Pentagon. I told you Lisa was the course director. You never know what Lisa's gonna do. It's scary sometimes. And so we're there, and the JAG school students, the JSOCers, put on a show, a little skit at the end of the show. I found out that this one sitting over here was the mastermind behind the giant tinfoil JAG badge. And so the skit that they put on in front of the Judge Advocate General was these JAG school students, these JSOC students that had their JAG badges on, and all of a sudden got stripped of their JAG badges, and it was taken away, and this big giant JAG badge was strewn across the stage. It was hysterical. We were all on the floor laughing, except for one person. Who shall be nameless. Moving on. Anyway, fearless. So, despite all of that, at the JAG school and everything that she did, she was, no kidding, a phenomenal mentor to all of our young JSOC students. She wasn't afraid to have fun and poke the bear when the bear, maybe it didn't need to be poked, but she did it anyway. And that's when she moved on to headquarters PACAF, where I was. I was there from 2012 to 2016, and she came out, it was about 2014. So she worked with me under my staff for about 2 years. I'm gonna spend a little bit of time here because I have another story to tell about her. She was my Chief of Justice, and we had a couple of numbered Air Forces that weren't doing very well in justice, and she didn't like the monthly briefings that they would present to me as the MAJCOM SJA. And so again, she said, she came into my office, boom, guns a-blazing, ma'am, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this, and I'd like to change all of that. I said, well, let me know what you got. So she did, and we revamped our monthly briefings. We revamped all of our staff judge advocate conferences when it came to military justice, and worked all of those issues together, and it was awesome. That was a time when we were undergoing significant changes with respect to sexual assault in the military, as I'm sure both of you colonels are aware in the front row, when Congress was really putting a lot of scrutiny on how we handle those cases. And so we worked all of those changes, the congressional changes, together. She led the way and helped us out. She even, I told her on one occasion, I said, this numbered Air Force is really not doing well in justice. I need you to gather all the facts for me of their cases and why they're dragging. Give me what you have, and we'll set up a VTC with the NAF SJA. And that was an ugly VTC. We basically told him he was failing, but she gathered all the facts, had all of her ducks in a row. And I'll tell you, I got a few complaint phone calls from a couple of the senior colonels out there at PACAF about her directness and about her tough love talks with them. And I backed her up, and I said, look, if you can't handle it, I'll send someone TDY to help you get your office in shape. Oh, no, don't do that. Please don't do that. Please don't send Lisa. But we worked it out. So I'm gonna rag on her about this one. So Lisa Jones was my office secretary. And I reached out to Lisa and I said, do you have any fond memories of Lisa Carroll while she was out there? And she said, my best memory is the Air Force Ball. A tasker came out for volunteers to be the chair of the ball. Having no idea what was involved, I handled the tasker myself. Lisa volunteered and I submitted her name. Oops. But she put together an epic ball. The reason why she said oops is because being the chairman of the Air Force Ball for a 4-star COMPACAF, the commander of the Pacific out there, and the commander of PACOM, who's probably going to attend, who's a 4-star admiral, and also 22 foreign air chiefs from all over PACAF in that AOR who are going to attend this Air Force Ball. That's a huge undertaking to volunteer to be the committee chair. Did they consult me first before they answered this tasker and volunteered? No, they did not. It was too late. The tasker had already gone through, and my boss, the 4-star at the time, Lori Robinson, said, well, Judge, my call sign was Judge, we're really happy that that the legal office is gonna take this on, because Lisa said, well, I have plenty of help in the legal office. I'm gonna volunteer everybody to do this. And so she took it on. She drove the show. She raised $45,000. The commander of PACOM said this ball was a home run, best Air Force ball that they had ever attended. Not to mention the fact that, how cool is this? She orchestrated a fundraiser golf tournament that included I don't know if we used a choppa, but it was a choppa-droppa. So we had a plane come over and drop golf balls down, and you could buy golf balls, and if your golf ball came closest to the hole, you would win a bunch of money. How crazy is that? She got the air clearance, she got all the permissions to do that. It was fabulous, and everybody was like, I cannot believe that she orchestrated this. The 4-star coined her, and the coolest part of the entire evening was Lisa managed to get the introduction, the welcoming remarks to everybody that was at the ball was on video. Mayor Giuliani spoke to General Robinson and all of us out there at the ball and said, welcome to the Air Force Ball, talked about how great the Air Force is, and that was really, really a cool event. And even though I was extremely disappointed when she volunteered without coming to me and saying, hey, ma'am, I would like to take this on, is that okay? It all worked out, right?
Yes, ma'am.
We had a few mentoring sessions before that. I want to tell you a little bit about why she's a confidant and savior. No kidding, we had a paralegal out there who was kind of struggling, not only in family life, but in personal life, had gotten into a little bit of trouble, and it was just continuous. And our chief at the time out there, Chief Mercado, he and I discussed and we talked about, so I said, Chief, I'm gonna appoint one of our JAGs to kind of pull her under her wing and take care of her and talk to her and kind of see if we could get her to come around and help her out. And so Lisa was the only one I thought of. And so I pulled Lisa in and I said, look, we're having some trouble here, and I'd like you to sit down with her, talk to her, find out what's going on, and be her confidant. I don't need to know what she says. You know, you be her confidant and let me know if there's anything that I can do to help. And she did that. I mean, it was amazing, the mother instinct in her and the confidant and just the savior. She literally saved this paralegal's life. We all came together and helped her. She did come to me and say, I need some help because we're gonna move her out of her apartment. It was a wreck. She just didn't know how to take care of herself. And so, I mean, it was a nasty mess. And cleaned up her act. And it was awesome. And so I'm gonna read to you what she said about it. I reached out to her.
Did you?
I did. It was good to do that. So she says, I'd say some of my most prominent memories of Colonel Carroll were of the, this is funny, were of the song Uptown Funk being blasted in the office weekly on Aloha Fridays. We had Aloha Fridays out there, it was awesome. And her leading the way in both song and dance. She is an inspiration to me and was one of the best attorneys I had the pleasure of working with in the Air Force. Her personality and work ethic are infectious. I'm excited to see where she goes in her next chapter. And this is what I thought was pretty neat. I am doing the best I have been in years. That's because you do. I appreciate the opportunity to have gotten to work with two amazing women at PACAF-JA with you both. Have fun with the ceremony and please give my congratulations to her on her amazing achievement. So, I mean, this paralegal might have just wasted away and left the service. But she took the time, mentored her, was her confidant, was her savior, and took care of her. And she's doing great now. She's retired. She's got a great job at the Postal Service and just doing wonderful. So, we pinned her to 05 out there, and then she moved on to Belgium. I had moved away in 2016 to go to Air Combat Command. In the meantime, Lisa stayed on another year at PACAF and then moved on to Belgium, where I understand she met the love of her life. Although she's trying to get rid of you with all those hiking incidents. I'm like, sorry, Bart. I want you to know, just think through this. It's kind of scary that she has you hike up to the top of a mountain and put the key on a rock so I can take a picture of it, and then you naturally forget the key and hike down the mountain. What's up with that?
It was my fault.
I'm just saying.
It was my fault.
Well, now she's saying it's her fault. That's good. That's good. Anyway, she moves on to Belgium where, and she came back when I had moved on to DC to be the commander of our legal operations agency, and Lisa came out to visit me to talk to me. She said, this first time I ever saw her where she goes, oh, some of these issues, I just have no freaking clue why they're coming to me to do this. I'm doing it, and she was the liaison there at NATO, working with a lot of different folks, working ethics issues, working rules of engagement issues, all kinds of stuff. And keep in mind, most of her career has been in military justice and teaching and things like that. She did do some ops law and international law at Mildenhall. We put her on some exercises out at PACAF. But I'll tell you, the nice thing about Lisa, and I told you early on with failing fast, if she didn't know, she would research it, she would get back to you, and she'd get you the answer. And she was out there for a while and did a bang-up job. This is a joint job, so I want to show you, read to you what her strat was there. She was ranked number 1 out of 15 joint 05s. Number 1. The number 1 lieutenant colonel out of all those 05s out there, and just did a bang-up job. Take charge, a leader, ethics advisor extraordinaire, and just worked a whole hodgepodge of issues. So here's where I'm going to digress from the Air Force and kind of say I don't agree with what they did. They sent her out to Kirtland Air Force Base to be the staff judge advocate for the inspection agency out there. And I'm not real sure that that was a wise move, because she's a go-getter, and that job, it didn't stimulate her, I don't think, and she was looking for something bigger. But nonetheless, she rocked it out of the park. She led all of the inspections that the inspection agency was on, going out to different bases. And I will tell you, I think in some ways this was somewhat difficult, because at the time, TJ had set up his own inspection office. And so in addition to having his staff come out to do inspections, sometimes the folks from Kirtland, who were part of the Air Force inspection system, would be there at the same time. And so not only does it kind of create issues for the office that's being inspected as to who do I need to worry about here, but also who's inspecting what. You can see that it could kind of be a conflict. But she handled it with skill and aplomb. We haven't talked about that in detail, but I know she banged it out of the park. I didn't mention the other deployment she was on. She was in SJA for that. She was in Kyrgyzstan, Manas, Kyrgyzstan. And that was a huge deal too, because we had a horrific KC-135 crash. She again banged it out of the park there. She deployed out of the JAG school for that particular deployment. And what's amazing is if you've ever done an accident board in a foreign country, working with the host nation on all of the different legal wicked issues and who's entitled to be there, who's entitled to be a part of the board, who can serve on the board. Those are tricky issues. And if there are deaths involved, which were there deaths involved? There were 3 deaths involved. It makes it that much more not only tragic, but also worse and difficult with handling all those legal issues. And again, she's phenomenal. She took charge as a leader and knocked it out of the park. I'm gonna move from Kirtland to, I think, probably what is her most important, and of course, it's her last assignment, and that is here at Robbins. I told you she needed something more when she was out at Kirtland at the inspection agency, and she was looking for something more. So TJ's office called and said, well, we're gonna give it to you, all right? We're gonna give you something more. We're gonna send you to Robbins Air Force Base to the wing to basically, I would have to say, rebuild that entire office. Because that office, for whatever reason, under the previous leadership and regime, failed miserably. They failed in Article 6 inspection. They failed in the leadership area. I think the max you can get is 15 points on leadership and how you interact with commanders at the command, and they got a 2. How do you do that? How you do that is you're absent, in my book. And so it was just nothing. The morale was down, they were not respected for advice or for anything, from what I understand. And Lisa turned it around. She took it over, and it was through the culmination of her leadership, her serving leadership. She met with every single one of the members in her office to find out who they are, what they were thinking, what was going on. She made her own assessment, made changes, met with every single, I believe, every single commander on the base, talked to them, found out what the legal office could do to get their respect back, and just got out there and got her people out there, and from what I understand, completely turned the legal office around, and also endured numerous 4- and 3-star visits, a TJAC visit, and then the re-inspection visit. That's a lot to have happen to an office in just a year and 9 months. But she and her team, I'll say her team because it's not just she and her team completely turned things around, working together and with the support of their wing leadership and Colonel Reese and Colonel Rios to take away every single one of those discrepancies that were on that previous inspection and get an excellent, turn the leadership around and get an excellent. And not only that, revamp a totally abysmal courtroom that had been that way for years. It was that way when I was on the bench in 2000. It was a horrible courtroom. We all complained for years and years about that courtroom. Again, she went in and said, I don't like this I don't like, this I don't like, this I don't like. We're going to redo everything in this courtroom, and she rebuilt, from what I understand, I haven't seen it yet, but rebuilt a state-of-the-art courtroom with everything that is required of a state-of-the-art Air Force courtroom, complete with security and everything. So I think that this last assignment really culminates and really tells the story of who Lisa is as a serving leader, fearless advocate. She's not afraid to ask for what she wants. I'm sure if there's any CE folks in here, they know. She probably went to y'all and said, this is what I need, and I need it now to fix this. And got it done, I had a couple of other folks that I wanted to, I had reached out to. One was Lieutenant Colonel Cunningham, who was out at PACAP with us, and she just said, Lisa has an incredible amount of life experience stories. If you haven't heard her tell stories, she's a great storyteller. And I told her when she retires, she should hire herself out to attend parties and tell stories. That's his advice to you. And then our beloved chief, who I had at PACAF, Chief Mercado, he pulled her, I think every other day you were in his office, either you needed mentorship from him because you were always asking him questions, or he was always, hey, Colonel, come in here real quick. I want to talk to you. He'd shut the door, and hours later they'd come out and he would give her his mentoring as the chief. So I reached out to Chief. He wished he could be here, and he said, congratulations to you, so very well deserved. It was truly my honor and privilege to have worked with you. You are truly one of a kind and a rare gem. I've known Colonel Carroll since she was a captain or major when I went out and helped prep their office for a visit from the headquarters. Every day was an adventure with Lisa. I can tell you personally that, I told that already, that Chief Mercado did not hesitate to pull her in for mentoring. And so he says, thank you for always staying true to yourself and holding high standards, even when others don't. Juliet and I hope your next chapter is as awesome as your Air Force career. So that's from Chief. One other thing I wanted to mention, if you want to see all about Lisa and just hear about her and her leadership, I watched the other day on a podcast. I think that happened while you were here. Was it not the Let's Talk Leadership?
Yeah.
She got invited on a podcast show, and it was Let's Talk Leadership, and it was awesome. She talks about failing fast and her philosophy on being a serving leader and just really trying to take care of the people first. That's what she's all about, and that's what we're here to celebrate. Everything that she's done for all of us and everything that we've learned from her, and now it's time to retire her. You're gonna make me tear up. You better stop it. All right, are you ready to retire?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Publish the orders.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the presentation of the Legion of Merit. Citation to accompany the award of the Legion of Merit, 2nd Oak Leaf Cluster, to Colonel Lisa M. Carroll. Colonel Lisa M. Carroll distinguished herself by exceptionally meritorious conduct in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as Staff Judge Advocate, 78th Air Base Wing, Air Force Sustainment Center, Air Force Materiel Command, Robins Air Force Base, Georgia, from 25 June 2022 to 29 March 2024. During this period, the exemplary ability, diligence, and devotion to duty of Colonel Carroll were instrumental factors in the deliverance of steadfast installation legal support for 5 major commands, an air logistics complex, and 3 wings, encompassing 54 mission partners. Additionally, with only 5 months to prepare, Colonel Carroll led the 78th Air Base Wing Office of the Staff Judge Advocate through an Article 6 reinspection that turned 36 discrepancies from red to green and resulted in 100% compliance. Colonel Carroll focused her team on legal fundamentals and building relationships. She rebuilt the trust of commanders and first sergeants and built critical on and off-base relationships to galvanize good order and discipline. She led the 78th Air Base Wing and 2 wing commanders through the administration of investigations and prosecutions of Child Development Center employees, identifying critical process improvements and working to ensure these gaps are corrected permanently. Colonel Carroll revamped the non-functional, neglected civilian misconduct and magistrate court program. She trained and assigned dedicated legal personnel, analyzed and cleared a more than 200 case backlog dating back to 2015. Finally, Colonel Carroll's visionary leadership and determination resulted in delivering a functional courtroom at Robins Air Force Base for the first time in 42 years. She skillfully navigated funding and civil engineering hurdles to build out a blank space to a fully functional courtroom in 3 months, which now enables the safe and fair administration of military justice. The superior initiative, outstanding leadership, and personal endeavor displayed by Colonel Carroll reflect great credit upon herself and the United States Air Force.
Now are you ready to retire?
I don't know. What do we got, Wes?
Gerald Schaefer will now retire Colonel Carroll.
Let's do it. Publish the orders.
Department of the Air Force, Washington, D.C., Special Order Number Alpha Lima 000220 to Colonel Lisa M. Carroll, effective 30 June 2024, you are relieved from active duty, 78th Air Base Wing, Robins Air Force Base, Georgia, retired effective 1 July 2024 per Air Force Instruction 36-3203 in the grade of Colonel after 20 years, 8 months, and 27 days of active service by order of the Secretary of the Air Force.
No, I'm sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. I will now read the certificate of retirement from the Air Force Chief of Staff. From the Armed Forces of the United States of America.
Oh, not us.
To all who shall see these presents, greetings. This is to certify that Colonel Lisa M. Carroll, having served faithfully and honorably, was retired from the United States Air Force on the first day of July 2024. Signed, Charles Q. Brown Jr., General, Chief of Staff, United States Air Force, and Colonel Dietrich L. Reese, Commander, 78th Air Base Wing. Colonel Carroll has also been presented with the Presidential Certificate of Appreciation, which reads, for service in the Armed Forces of the United States of America, Colonel Lisa M. Carroll, I extend my personal gratitude and sincere appreciation of a grateful nation to you for your patriotic service to our country. Your bravery and dedication in our armed forces helped protect your fellow Americans during a critical moment in our history and contributed to a world of greater security and growing prosperity. Your devotion to duty, honor, and country, in keeping with the long traditions of the finest military in the world, embodied the American ideal of selfless service. Our nation owes you an incredible debt. Your commitment and the example you will set for future generations to serve with pride and to keep our country secure. You represent the best of our nation, and I join our fellow Americans in saluting your honorable service. I wish you happiness and success in your next chapter. Signed, Joseph R. Biden, Commander-in-Chief. I would now like to invite Colonel Carroll's fiancée, Barb, to come forward and join us for the Air Force Retirement Pin presentation.
Yeah, Bart.
This pin is to be worn on your uniform with pride. It signifies to everyone that the wearer of this pin has served their country well and honorably. Colonel Carroll would now like to present Liam, Kian, and Bree with certificates of appreciation for steadfast support of their mom throughout her career.
Okay, so I'm gonna just take a second and do this part now real quick. So my midgets, right? The twins and my oldest, right? They've been, military kids are resilient, but they're extra resilient, right? They've had to deal with, the mom as the military active duty thing, which is a little less common, right? In addition to, me divorcing their dad and living separately and living overseas and living here and living there, and super resilient with all of those things to the point of they shock me and amaze me all the time. Scare me a little too, by the way. They get the smart ass thing from somewhere. I'm unsure where it comes from, but they've done amazing, and now they're coming to live in Belgium with me. And you get things too. Is that exciting? All right, let's do this first. Let's take the picture first. All right. I think you know what that is. All right, sit down.
At this time, if anyone would like to present Colonel Carroll with a gift or say any words, now is your opportunity. Please step forward.
Uh-oh. What the hell is that? A bill.
citation says a lot, and I won't repeat all that, but it has been my personal and professional pleasure to work with such an officer. We were in bad shape when she arrived. She changed all of that. We call her Judge Judy. You probably imagine. And I think the understatement's in there because she actually turned everything around with inspections. She also turned around morale. She also spent about $400,000 on courtrooms, kitchens, painting, repairing, all the same things. What a phenomenal job that's been. And it's always great when you can leave and say, much better than when I found it. And she can say that. She's going out in a blaze. And I'm very proud of her and glad she's going to another NATO job, can marry, things like good. And I just wanted, I mean, she's gonna be the snazzy dresser as she always is in some big clothes. So I wanted to make sure she had something that looked professional when she, strapping around, and she was carrying all these important papers and everything. So. Here's a computer and everything.
Is that it for that part? More? Oh, the box. The box.
So ma'am, it's kind of unwieldy, but I'm just gonna stand here and hold this.
Okay.
So, on behalf of the office, I can think of a lot of things that I appreciate about working with you, but you and I are on the opposite ends of the introvert-extrovert spectrum. So, I'll keep it to one. The one thing that I'm most appreciative about you, I think, is that kind of to the theme of the fearless advocate is that you advocate for your people, whether it's for us as individuals or for the office in general, for our needs. You're not hesitant to reach out to the wing, other folks on base, up to AFSC or AFMC, or even to JAG Corps leadership and JAX to communicate our concerns and our needs. And you don't find that all the time with leaders who are willing to speak on behalf of their people and to try to get done what needs to be done for them. So on behalf of our office, on the JA team, we've got this keepsake trunk with lots of cool stuff in it from your career, lots and lots of cool stuff, because, I mean, you've been around for so long. Anyway, so, it comes out sometimes. So, anyways, on behalf of the legal office, ma'am,
Thank
this
you.
cool keepsake
I
trunk.
know.
You
Look
wanna
at
keep
this
it up
side,
here?
look at this side. Wow.
He's speaking. He's
Oh, okay, I was gonna say.
It's on now.
It's gonna be on now, that's what I'm saying. I'm thinking this is gonna be problematic right now.
Situation.
Listen, stolen privacy.
We know it's not rated G, because we know your kids.
Yeah.
We're here a lot.
What? Uh-oh.
Hey, so, first, let me thank Lisa's family for being here. This means a lot. When we see this and we see the family support at retirements and other ceremonies, that says a lot. We appreciate your time, your sacrifices, and throughout the years, almost 21 years of service. So I know you all are proud of that. The downside of that is, for almost 21 years, she's been at work for 10, 12, 14 hours a day. So we just witnessed what you guys look forward to for that during that extra 10, 12, 14 hours a day. So, the knife hand is pretty strong. I'll warn you there, all right? There's a lot of telling you what to do and where to sign. That's gonna happen.
It's fine, just sign right here, it's fine, I promise, it's fine, it's fine.
I'm gonna get to that. But, yeah, good luck, okay? Bart, you got it, you got it. All right, good luck with that. Colonel Schaefer, thank you, man, thank you for the words, and, trying to mentor our Lisa. It's tough, right? Somebody had to do it. And, but yeah, getting to the time here in the Air Base Wing. When I got here, you know, my first couple of days before I even took command, walked into the office, talked to Serge, and Lisa was there. And right away I was like, oh, I am not on that energy level.
Is that the first thing you know?
Right away, I had to process the energy. But, you know, nothing negative about it. And then, so over time, just like she just said, the paperwork comes in and it's like, sir, this airman did this and this, sign right here, blue, I gotta go, hurry up. And I'm like, what the heck? I don't even know what this is.
Oh, did you want to read that?
Yeah. So over time, she learned to give me the, the Legal for Dummies version and write it in English and give me a summary of what it is I'm looking at. And, eventually we got there. But anyways, a lot of great times, Lisa. A lot of great things you did here. Like, who in the world takes selfies and decorates the entire facility? Lisa does that. You left us with your legacy. Literally.
We were gonna make a courtroom and I was gonna put some pictures up in that courtroom of myself.
Exactly. But a lot of thanks, Lisa, for what you've done, not only for me when I got in the job, but I mean, look at the audience, our mission partners, all the work and advice. You got us through all the legal transitions. Turned the court a complete justice office, our JAG office around. You got us going in the right direction. Age arbitrations, all the things, you name it. Your hands are there. You dove in fearlessly, right? And we're now on top because of you. So, small token of our appreciation. Not as big as the 10-foot legal badge that you made.
Tinfoil version, yeah.
Tinfoil version, but close enough. But to take you out on top, as you go out, this badge will be on top for sure. And we just want to give you a small token.
Okay. Well, then I'm kind of disappointed, I think.
You don't ask that. Can we do one more?
Yeah.
One more photo? Can I get the mission partners to come? Miss Stanley, I think I saw you back there. Come on up, man.
Oh, more? I was hoping to get one of those.
It's your
Is that
turn.
enough? Is that it?
Do you want the mic?
Huh?
Do you want-
Yes,
I
you're
don't
gonna say
need that.
something.
When's the last time I needed a mic? Me?
It's you.
It's me. Okay, this is it. All right. Wow. Okay, so I'm not sure who everybody was talking about. my final, first of all, thank everybody for coming. This is overwhelming. And, you know, this is kind of like my final closing argument, right? Jack. When you learn how to do closing arguments, you know, we talk about having structure, having theme and theory, and having a call to action, right? 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 And we're gonna do the best I can to stick to that. Before I get started with that part, I wanna do a few really important thank yous. First and foremost, to my mentor and my friend and the person who I learned how to do all the things from, and that's Brigadier General retired Sharon Schaefer. I'm gonna do my best to get through this without crying, but I'm not sure it's gonna work. Okay, and my brother needs to stop. Stop. So, cries one more time. Jesus Christ, what are you? I know.
Daddy's here. Daddy's here.
Okay, do this again. So I came in the Air Force and I thought, like, I don't belong here. Like, I was told for literally, I had like 7 assignments if you count deployments before I worked for Schaefer, right? And all male bosses. She's my first female boss. And I had some really good ones and I had some legendary crazy ones. Like, legendary crazy ones, right? And I felt the entire time I was in the Air Force that everybody would try to put me back in a box. They'd be like, well, you need to soft sell your advice to the commanders, and you need to say it nicer, and you need to, and I would have that thought in my head, like, well, maybe I should really do that, and I'd be like, screw that, I'm not doing that. And I would just fight my own brain constantly, right, with that same voice that you get, right? You're not feminine enough, you're not acting like one of the girls, you're acting like one of the boys, but you're not one of the boys, but all those things that happen. And then I got assigned to PACAP, and I knew of then Colonel Schaefer and her reputation. But after about 2 weeks, I remember thinking, like, this is so great because I now know that I'm not going to be court-martialed. I swear, I went through my whole career at that point thinking, like, my career is going to end in one of 2 ways. Like, I am going to be behind bars, or I am going to be, let's be dead. Like, I'm like, there's not going to be like anything in between. Like, it's going to be like they buy it or they hate it, right? It's like one or the other. Obviously, we got somewhere in the middle, so it's but I remember thinking, like, wow, like, she is a leader that is fearless and direct and caring and, you know, gives the right advice and is respected and does it with fun and with care and with love and with passion. And all the things that I was being told I shouldn't do, she was doing. And she was a colonel. And I was like, holy crap, I'm not gonna be court-martialed, this is great. Like, how am I gonna do what she did? Like, this is great. And I did. I watched, I learned, I tried to manage to adjust my behavior to be like, okay, she doesn't freak out about that, so maybe I shouldn't freak out about that. Like, I would kind of modulate how I did business based on what I saw. Break, I got here in June of 2022. In October was my birthday, right? And Sergeant Muma, who's here somewhere, they got me a She-Hulk cake. If you want to know why they call me She-Hulk, ask him. He has a great story that goes with it. So he gave me a She-Hulk cake. I thought it was great. It was hysterical. They had cheap beer because I love expensive beer, and they had like balloons and all this crazy stuff, right? And it was great. And I got back to my office, and one of the attorneys in my office, who will remain nameless, left me a birthday card, right, or a handwritten note. And the gist of the note was, thank you for, and mind you, I've been here a couple months, right? So thank you for showing me what a leader is because of what you've done in the short amount of time that you've been here, right? And this really nice, like, I didn't understand that leaders were supposed to do these things. And, like, I set the bar differently, right, based on that. And the first thing I did was take a picture of that card and text it to her. And I said, thank you. Like, you helped me be this person, so your legacy is way far-reaching, right? It's here, there's all the people that I've shown how to be like this, right? And all the people they'll show, right? So your legacy lives forever, because you've been able to do that for me, and I hopefully have been able to do that for people here too. So, I love you, thank you. Okay, look, we were in it, right? I mean, were we not in it? We were in it. Colonel Droz, the former wing commander, when I got here, called me today, and to congratulate me and apologize for not being here and stuff. And I asked her permission to tell this story, right? Because we were, we're talking like Secretary of the Air Force briefings. Like, we were in it, right? Bad stuff going on, right? Everybody who knows what I'm talking about. There's stuff going on. It was terrible. And me and Colonel Rios and Colonel Droz were sitting in her office one day, and I said, this is freaking terrible. Like, this is just terrible. Like, I don't even know how to deal with this. Like, I'm busting blood vessels in my eyes. Like, this is terrible. And she's like, it could be worse. And I was like, really? How could it be worse? And she's like, we could be assholes. Right? You remember? And I was like, holy crap, you're right. It could be worse. Right? I asked her permission to tell that story. She was like, I remember that moment vividly. It was true. And it's like, and that's kind of the legacy of like this base, right? It could be worse. We were in such crazy stuff, but everybody's so great. Like the leaders, the 2-wing command, I dealt with 4-wing commanders, 2 deputy commanders, 2 command chiefs, tons of group commanders, tons of squadron commanders, and everybody's just great, right? I mean, we just were in it, and we just did it, right? And that really made it much better somehow, because you weren't assholes. Anyway, so that was basically how that works. So thank you for doing that, letting me be me, and letting me do it my way, and not trust it, not like having me court-martial, because that was really important, right? And you knew I had a method to my madness somehow down the road, and we got there eventually. And when I asked you for crazy favors, I think I had a conversation with Colonel Reese when he first took the seat. I was like, look, I'm going to ask you to take the nuclear option sometimes, and I'm just going to need you to do it. And he was like, okay. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say to that. And I was like, I'm going to need you to do that on occasion, all right? We haven't worked on that. So thank you for that. Thank all of you, the commanders, first sergeants, trusting me, being there, the civilians, the partners, OSI guys, oh my God, all the things we had to do together. Ms. Crawford, Ms. Hubbard, all you guys, like dealing with that was really a thing. Is Sergeant Blair here? Did you get the thing? Okay. So I went to final outed this morning, and guess what? They let me final out, right?
I'm not signing it.
No, I'm just gonna give this to you, right? Here was my plan, because I don't know if y'all know, but Colonel Reese publicly, over the course of the last 6 months, kept saying that he wasn't gonna let me retire, he was gonna put me on admin hold, right? And admin hold because I was under investigation. He was gonna have OSI to it, yeah. And it was like this whole thing, right? We had this conversation, he's like, oh yeah, I'm putting you on admin hold. And then when my retirement came through, it was like a week, and he has it for signature. I'm like, are you gonna sign it? And he's like, no, what a retirement, I didn't get anything. I'm like, oh my God, sign the freaking thing, right? So like, it was ridiculous. So I'm in preparation, because I was unsure if I was gonna be allowed to final out. I drafted a charge sheet in which I was going to charge you with false official statement. I don't have to actually refer the charges, which is a good thing for you and I. But I figured you'd want this as a memento.
I'm surprised it's not framed.
And right here, Wes is gonna sign for it, right there. I'm gonna sign it here, Wes is gonna sign as receipt for. We're gonna give you that, because look, those threats, I thought they were real, man. Until I went to that final out this morning, I'm like, I'm unsure if they're gonna clear me. I might be on admin hold, I'm unsure.
All right, let me tell y'all my real comments. Thanks, Lisa.
You're welcome, sir. It's the only time you'll ever see a name on a card sheet, I hope. Anyway, so just putting that out there. Moving on to my next thing is my office, right? You guys have been, thanks for kind of hanging in there on the wild ride that I took you all on, because I'm sure I remember that first day in brief, everybody looked like a deer in the headlights. They were like, what is happening? I don't even know what's going on. And it has been a wild ride, and a fast one, right? Like lots of things going on at all times. For the whole team, the whole 44, 42, 45 of you, I'm not sure, it depends on the day, has been amazing. But in particular, my leadership team, right? The 4 individuals that kept me sane so many times. And they're all here today, which is great. So first I'm gonna start with Major Byer. So Major Byer and I got here together at the same time. She got short notice task here with no idea what she was walking into. I explained it to her in a 3-hour phone conversation while I was driving from New Mexico. And then she came anyway. So we got here and we were in it. And you know when you have like the devil and then the angel? Julie was the angel, right? So I'm my own devil, right? Because I'd be like, well, yeah, we can do that, right? And she's like, I don't think so. And I'm like, yeah, we can. And she's like, no. And I'm like, yeah. And then she'd be like, wait, I'll look up the rec. And then she looks up, she's like, you need to do these 2 things first. Done. Okay, we'll do those things. And then we were making things. So she balanced me out in a way that was absolutely perfect. An accident by the Jaguar, but a blessing for the legal office and for me personally. So thank you for surviving. We spent a lot of late nights and a lot of weekends and a lot of time living in that office, eating Miss Stone snacks, doing all the things, right? So thank you for that, Julie, and glad to see you, and sad to see you're doing well. Next was Master Sergeant Jason freaking Handy Manny Muma. Sergeant Muma, again, a blessing, right? When I first met Sergeant Muma, I thought, I don't know if this is gonna work. And then all of a sudden, like, I started coming up with ideas, and instead of him being like, you know, there's not more dangerous than a colonel with an idea. Like, I had like 3 ideas, like an hour for a while. Like, it wasn't even like a day. It was like every hour I'd be like, here are 5 more things we need to do. You know, and everyone's like, what are you talking about? And Sergeant Muma would be like, okay. And then I'd come back like 2 hours later, and 3 of them were done. And I'd be like, who did that? And they're like, oh, Sergeant Muma wanted to. So the mindset and the like ability for you to make things happen, you made such a difference in everyone's life in the office. You make things better, and you do that just naturally because you want to. You're gonna be amazing when you retire. I can't wait to see all the things you accomplish. I will miss you dearly, and it's been great. It really has, as a true partner, for sure. Yoda. I nicknamed Mr. Holt Yoda because, well, first of all, let's start with, there are no 2 people on this planet who are more different than Lake Holt and I, okay? You're talking like George Boy, Southern, gentleman, I don't think he's ever said a curse word in front of me, that kind of thing, and then me. We all know what that's about, right? So we couldn't have 2 more different people, and I don't know how, but it just worked, right? I mean, it was, with all the crazy things going on and all the big level decisions I had to make, every time I needed advice and a sounding board and someone to be like, yeah, that's good, that's right, you know, or no, maybe you want to do it like this. I went into Mr. Holt's office, closed the door, and I came back a Jedi. Like, that's crazy. He basically was my Yoda the entire time. It's been amazing. I am so grateful to have met you and worked with you. He's legendary to the Jaguar, by the way. If you want to hear some stories, you need to talk to Mr. Holt. And you know, he's been a match mache, all the things. He knows all the things, right? So talk to Mr. Holt about the things, and thank you for doing all that. And putting up with me too, which is part of it. And then there's Miss V. See, she's already done taking pictures for me. Miss V just makes everything better, right? She makes everything prettier and more fun and more palatable. And just better. Like, everything's better because Ms. V adds her touch to it, right? Again, I have a million ideas, a million times, and Ms. V's like, I got it, Colonel. I got you. You just tell me what you want. Next thing I know, we have an entire courtroom decorated for a baby shower. I'm like, I don't even know how this happened. I got Aaron Brandon eating baby food as a game. I'm like, let's do games. It's amazing the things that we have a Halloween party all of a sudden with everybody dressed up. Like, how did this happen? All these things would happen because Ms. Van Lumen is there to do it. So I'm going to miss you terribly. And thank you for all of this, because she did all this too, by the way. And my family's here, the Carols, in strength. The related Carols and the unrelated Carols. I have one of my best friends' last name is Carol. Don't ask. Anyways, long story. It's a great story. Ask tonight at Tapping Court. The family's here. I did say one thing about the Carols. You know, we come in force, and we stick by each other and do all the things. And when I say I'm the quietest person in my family, I'm not exaggerating. So just keep that in mind. Keep that all in mind. To my mom, my brother, my niece, my nephew are here. My sister couldn't make it, for being my biggest cheerleaders that I could ask for. So I couldn't have done any of those things without you all. I love you. To my family that is my chosen family, my friends, right? I wish for everybody in this room to have, I don't know why this part makes me so emotional with this, to have friends like them, right? They are, bury the body. Like, I'm not even kidding, bury the body. Like if I had a moment where something went terribly wrong, that's only a statement, that's not. So I mean, if I had a moment and I needed a thing, I would group text the four of them and be like, y'all need to get on flight. Y'all gonna have to come down here quick. We got some stuff to do, we got the body to bury, and we got some stuff to do, right? They have been my biggest cheerleaders my whole life. Again, I met Holly when I was 17 years old. I met Michelle in a bar, great story, ask her tonight. I met Denise in a bar, great story, ask her tonight. Robin in college, they are like literally my family that I've chosen, and I'm grateful to have all of you in my life every single day, so thank you. To my midgets, Oopas, thanks for, hanging in there with your crazy mother. Every time, once in a while, like I see them look at me, and they have this look in their eye like, are you for real? They don't understand what they're really dealing with. I think they're getting it a little bit more. But thank you for being resilient, and thank you for coming to Belgium. It's gonna be great, we think. It's gonna be fun, it's gonna be great. And then my mom. So if y'all have a complaint about me being in the Air Force, you can blame Betty Carroll. So when I did the Air Force, I quit my job, I got ready, and I was ready to go, and then they were like, you're going to Ellsworth Air Force Base. And I was like, where the hell is that? And they were like, South Dakota, and I was like, where the hell is that? And they were like, south of North Dakota, and I was like, where the hell is that? And they were like, and then I was like, oh. And then they were like, you have 24 hours to accept or decline. Click, and I was like, so I called her and I'm like, I have to go to South Dakota and it's a 6-hour drive to the city and I can't get a place only 25,000 people. What am I supposed to do? I don't even know where it is. And she's like, it's gonna be fine, it'll be an adventure, just join. And I did. She's like, it's only 4 years, don't worry about it. Well, you lied about that part. But the rest so I appreciate that, I really, really do. And then Bartzy. The longest long distance relationship in history. Through almost 4 years of Belgium to Albuquerque and Belgium to Georgia. Thank you for sticking by me, and you just make everything better. So thank you for doing that. Okay, now break, theme and theory. 3 things, okay? Last time I did a promotion ceremony, I got promoted to Lieutenant Colonel. Colonel was during COVID. I took a selfie in the car, that was the extent of it, right? So, Lieutenant Colonel, we had just lost my dad, and I talked a bit about the 3 Johnny Carroll tenets, right? The 3 things that my father lived by and taught us all. And there are 3 really important things that I live my life by and have gotten me everything that I wanted and needed to do. First one's really easy, it's just work hard, right? My dad he knew how to work, he knew how to hustle. We all know how to hustle. My brother knows how to hustle, my sister knows how to hustle, I know how to hustle. We know how to make money. I'm never worried about learning how to make money. I'm never worried about doing those things because I know how to hustle. My dad was the guy there 2 hours early and he left 2 hours late every day, regardless of his title, right? My captains have heard this from me more times than you can imagine, where they've been like, well, man, what assignments do you think I should have? I'm like, I don't care if you're the chief of the coat rack. Be the best damn chief of the coat rack you can be. And be better than the chief of the coat rack you were today. If you can be better than you yesterday, then you have succeeded, and people will notice that, right? You're not competing against anybody else but the older version of yourself, period. Do it with passion, do it with care, do it with heart, and you'll love it. It'll bring you joy, right? So work hard. Do the right thing, right? Do the right thing. Every time you walk past something, right, you accept it or you endorse it even, by not fixing it, right? And that's kind of one of those things, like, the very first day, I think the first conversation I had with Miss Van Leuven was like, why are the toilet seats yellow in the women's room? And she was like, because no one's changed them. And I was like, Sergeant Momo, can we get new toilet seats? And he was like, yes. And I'm like, all right, let's do that. Why would you accept that, right? Why would you accept that reality, right? And the leadership that came before me just accepted that reality. And I'm talking SJA and SJA, not just, more recent, right? Do the right thing every single time. And if you don't know what the right thing is, find someone you trust. Ask Yoda. He'll tell you what the right thing is, right? Find someone you trust and ask them if it's the right thing, right? But the bottom line is, if you do the right thing each time, whether it's tough, hard, difficult, stressful, or not beneficial to you, then you're doing it for the right reasons, right? Do the right thing no matter what the cost. Third and last was take care of your family, right? So my dad lived for that, right? He would be so happy that I have like military retirement. He'd be like, oh my God, you have security. He was a union guy, loved all that, right? You have benefits. He was very excited about that. Literally take care of your family. And the thing is, in the Air Force, we know your family's way more than your biological family, right? It's all of y'all, right? And I can tell you that this assignment is perfect for me to leave from because, well, first of all, my folks know that I was not thrilled to be sent to Warner Robins, Georgia, for my last assignment, like, at all. And I can tell you that this assignment is the best assignment because of the people. I made some lifelong friends in this setting, and I feel like was able to impact things in a way that made a difference, and set the example, and maybe that stuff sticks, some of it at least. And that is more beneficial than ever to have impacted people's lives in a positive way. And all of you, like friends for life. I got my CE guys here hanging out with me, like who built the courtroom with me, right? You do right by people, and they do right by you, right? And y'all are my family, and I'll end with this. Once your SJ, always your SJ. Same cell phone number, same email address, right? Keep in touch. Come to Belgium. But with that, I feel like that's enough out of me. It's time to have some cake and a drink. That's what I'm
Ladies and gentlemen, I now present to you Colonel Lisa M. Carroll, United States Air Force, retired. This concludes our retirement ceremony. The men and women of the United States Air Force are proud to have served with Colonel Carroll. We wish her and her family every success in their future endeavors. Please stand and join us in singing the Air Force song in the departure of the official party. Afterwards, we invite everyone to join us in congratulating Colonel Carroll and her family at the receiving line and reception at the rear of the ballroom. Everyone is also invited to celebrate with Colonel Carroll this evening after 1700 at Tappan Port on Moody Road. Off we go.
There it goes. There you go, Wes. Sing it.
Off we go into the wild blue yonder.